My name is Ted Berger. I'm a David Packard Professor of Engineering and a Professor of Neuroscience and Biomedical Engineering at the University of Southern California. I think that this is GF 2045 meeting is going to be a terrific meeting that will raise some of the most essential issues that need to be raised for the future of humanity. I would invite everyone who can come to come and participate, be part of this process, and come and with your very presence, then raise the importance of these issues so that they can be recreated and moved forward as a new set of solutions for all of us. Well, I think it's quite reasonable to think about several parts of the brain being understood well enough that we can develop not just mathematical models, but silicon models, microchip models of how those parts of the brain work. We've learned enough about of what long-term memories are when they're in code, that we can identify long-term memory codes in the behaving rat brain. And so we can say, oh, there, right there, that is the code for the bar that the animal is going to press to get water. We can say that's the code. And so we can recognize these things, we can see what they are, we can manipulate them in some ways. And so within a couple of years, we will have the ability to form new long-term memories the same way they're formed in the brain. But there are several parts of the brain like this that are ready for this next generation analysis that will allow us to create a mathematical model of how some of their functions work, and we'll be able to reproduce those in mathematical models, and we'll be able to reproduce those in microchip form. Well, we need to sit down and commit ourselves to goals, to these kind of goals. I mean, there's every reason to determine, to develop a set of concepts, a set of procedures, a set of surgical procedures to reach this kind of biomimetic replacement of brain parts. That's what we're talking about, is a biomimetic replacement of brain parts. And we need to commit ourselves to that as a goal. It's going to happen, and we need to find a way to develop this kind of commitment. And the Congress that we're talking about is a wonderful way to do this. That Congress that is being organized for 2045 for June, this June in 2013, is a wonderful step in that direction. But we need more than that. And I think that the sort of key factors after that that are needed are an acceptance. I'm going to call it this: an acceptance of the fact that these experiments need to be done in humans. That there's no reason why some of these experiments can't be done and can't be done readily in a human context. And it's most of us have a sense that there's something sacred about the human and the human brain, and that it's something that's not to be touched. We need to be careful about it. But I think that there are a lot of tests, there are a lot of investigations that can be done readily right now with patients' heartfelt consent. A lot of patients would love to have to be part of something that really increases the level of our understanding of the brain, and they'd like to share their body and their brain in that process. I think we need to recruit the human, the clinical involvement, the patient, the public involvement is something that's necessary, and I think it's underused. We really need to go out there and get the public behind this, and then we need to get more involvement of small businesses and startup companies in these efforts at the right time, but they could be a source of funds for faster development of these biomimetic models that we will use to replace brain parts. We are living longer and longer, and so more and more of these diseases of the brain and degenerative or accidental damages to the brain are going to be seen and must be dealt with. And so having a strategy where we think about which brain parts can be replaced in the context of which ones are damaged more often or more frequently, is just a wise thing to do. We're just talking about facing reality, but getting academic and business and government forces together to recognize this reality. It can be done. And as we understand the sophisticated computations, the sophisticated representations that are involved in thought processes, as we understand them more and more, the possibility of passing that capability on to a non-human, a non-living substrate becomes very real. And I think that will definitely be the next step for this, and it'll become part of the process, because how else do we take the sophisticated thoughts, the sophisticated representations that are created in any part of the brain for even a few seconds? How do we take that and represent it in such a way that we can have those same calculations be used in the context of repairing the brain? You have to move to an in silicon representation of those capabilities, because otherwise you'll be asking patients to carry around several computers behind them on wheels. It doesn't work. And so transferring this kind of understanding to a silicon base will naturally evolve from the first step, and I think it'll be so exciting at that point that there'll be a new movement, sort of a new enthusiasm that'll come from a non-medical area, a non-medical rationale for completing these kinds of experiments. We can work for a very long time, and that we need evolution over a very long time before we find solutions, particularly to how to be a better human being. And I'd like to be able to have an avatar that allows me to create those optimal values. That's what I'm looking for. I think this letter is really terrific. I think it takes a position that's very important, and it creates well, it's a powerful position. It makes a demand at a scale which is a needed scale. It has a world venue, which is really important. It identifies some of the clear weaknesses or shortcomings of the international and national policies that we have, and of just the directions in which are encouraged by, or just allowed to develop by humanity. We need a new vision. We need a new direction, and Global Future 2045 captures that need. And hopefully, in the context of this next GF 2045, this next Congress, we will be able to put even more of the pieces together that will define the directions in which we have to move for the solutions of these kind of global problems.